All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our first GBM of the 2021 year. This is our January general body meeting for the National Society of Black Engineers and SB Twin City chapter. And our topic today is going to be on personal branding. Today, we have a special guest, Dr. Simon Shannon from 3M. But first, we'll go over the agenda today, which is our mission statement, the icebreaker, our guest speaker, Dr. Simon Shannon, speaking, and some announcements. And for our mission statement is to increase the number of culturally responsible Black engineers who excel academically, succeed professionally, and positively impact the community.
Impact that community.
Cool. Icebreaker. So today's icebreaker will be guess that country, and is going to be run by Miss Joy.
Hey y'all. So the way we're gonna do this is we got a couple of country flags, and to make it easy on you, these are not all entirely random. These are flags of countries with predominantly Black populations, part of the Black diaspora. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna populate the flag on screen, and you're gonna use the chat to send in your guesses of what country you think it is. These are all countries that are in the throughout the continent of Africa, Caribbean, South America. So this is the first country. Use a chat function to send in your guesses as to what country you think this flag is for. And then I will reveal what the answer is. All right, I see 3 answers already, and those are all correct. This is Cameroon.
Cool.
Next slide.
People look afraid to get it wrong.
Don't be afraid of getting it wrong. Like, any guess is okay. We're not judging, but throw in your guesses for what this country is. Give a couple more seconds for anyone who wants to throw in last guesses. All right, and all these guesses are correct. This is also Haiti. Cool. In the Caribbean. Next slide. All right, now send in your guesses for which country this belongs to. And again, any guess is fine. We're not judging here. These are all countries that are either on the continent of Africa or in the Caribbean. Give a couple more seconds for any other guesses that want to come in. And this one is South Africa.
Only reason why the only reason why I got this one because I watch rugby a lot.
I think the green and yellow almost got me.
All right, what about this one?
Tamar, you cheat. You cheat, Tamar.
Oh, Mascarum finally decided to put one.
Right?
I swear to.
This is that one. And this one is Ethiopia. And this is the last country.
I know this one because it's soccer. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Neymar.
overwhelmingly, everyone got this one right. Brazil, which this country has a large, I think it's one of the largest populations of Black people, is in Brazil. And a lot of media representation doesn't show that, but Brazil is really Black. And it's commonly one of the top countries to go to travel if you're traveling solo as a Black person.
Mm, nice to know. Definitely got to make a trip.
I've
Yeah.
been there before. It's a beautiful country. You got to go. Yep.
And that's
A lot
all
of
for
fun.
our guessing the country.
Thanks.
Thank you to everyone who participated.
Yeah, thanks, Joy, for setting this up. All right. So we're gonna go on to our main speaker, Dr. Simon Shannon from 3M. Uh, give a little introduction for his bio. So Dr. Shannon is currently a global business development manager in 3M's Advanced Materials Divisions, or ADMD for short. He has a global business and program management responsibility for the development of new products for the emerging alternative energy markets with a concentration on polymers used in fuel cells. This area is a very important component of ADMD's future revenue and incoming growth. Dr. Shannon holds a bachelor's degree in chemistry from the University of Minnesota, Morris, a PhD in organic chemistry, and MBA from the University of Minnesota. He joined 3M in 2004 and had several unique experiences, having supported corporate research, 3M, Unitech Orthodontics, Industrial Mineral Products Division, and recently certified as a 3M Lean Six Sigma Black Belt. Simon also worked for 5 years at Corning. Over his career, Dr. Shannon has developed a strong track record with leading cross functional teams, project management, research and development, and new product commercialization, Lean Six Sigma business processes, and cost improvement activities. He holds 15 US patents and received several professional awards, most notably the 2017 National Trio Achiever Award, Time Magazine's 50 Best Inventions of 2018, 3M Smog Reducing Roofing Granules, uh, 2019 3M Global Lean Six Sigma Transformational Leadership Award, and 2019 Presidential Award from National Organization of Black Chemists and Chemical Engineers. Short acronym is uh, NOBCCHE, or pronounced Nobashe.
No, but
Nobashe, got it. His service has included
God, I
chair.
help.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for that. His service has included chair of 3M's African American Network's leader in Omega Psi Phi and Sigma Pi Phi fraternities, and recently appointed board chair of Novashe. He currently lives in Woodbury with his wife Bridget. Oh, she also works at 3M, and sons DJ and Jackson, and daughter Charlie. So, give a intro- warm welcome to Dr. Simon Shannon. So I'm going to, if do you have slides, right, Dr. Shannon?
I do,
All
and
right, I'm
let
gonna
me
make you
get
the
them teed up.
host.
Can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you. I'm gonna make you the host.
Okay. Can
Yep, you should now
all
be the
right.
host. And let me stop sharing.
Perfect. Let me tee these slides up. I'm so used to Microsoft Teams and Google Meets having to navigate and as I mentioned, I'm currently in Arkansas and we have the kids here. It is a very stressful time for the family with working remotely with the children, but we're managing. So let me get this thing sharing. Boom. Sure what you're seeing right now. You should be able to see the presentation
Yep, I can see
with a
it.
slide that reads what are benefits of personal branding.
Yep, I can see that.
Okay. So good. Before I jump into the presentation, I wanted to first thank you for the kind introduction and NESB, the Professional Development Committee that reached out, giving me the opportunity to participate in this event today. Ray had reached out a number of years, about a year or so ago, to try to make this happen in 2020. Needless to say, we all know how very challenging 2020 was on so many fronts. However, the light at the end of the tunnel that we've seen today with this inauguration, I know me personally, I'm stamping in my head the date, January 2021 is the day where we can say my vice president is a Black woman. So I think that is a very historic event for us. So how awesome it is, and I hope you all are staying encouraged despite what happened in 2021, even right here in our backyard, and very encouraged about the change that is happening now and what's to come. I also wanted to applaud you all for continuing to support the Twin Cities professional chapter of NESB. I was once a member of NESB at the University of Minnesota chapter a number of years ago. In fact, I recruited some of the NESB members at that time and started a NOBSHE chapter. NOBSHE is a national organization of Black chemists and chemical engineers. So it was a little more focused on chemistry and chemical engineering, but certainly understand and respect NESB as an organization and what NESB is doing to impact our Black scientific community. And so today I was asked to talk about personal branding, and I'm going to be completely transparent with you all. Means am I an expert in personal branding? However, I do have over 15 years experience in corporate environments and have managed to build a personal brand that others have told me. Understanding that most of you are working professionals, based on the survey that I saw, inside of 5 years at corporations that spread throughout the Twin Cities. I think I can relate to some of the experiences that you're going through now, or
Uh,
resourceful and intelligent, and you'll be able to find a number of resources and articles on the topic. So instead of reviewing what you can find on your own, I thought it would be good to share some of the tools that I've used over the years to help with my personal brand and my career advancement. And along the way, sharing some anecdotes and reflections about my experience. And I look to this as being informal and interactive. And I don't mind if you interrupt me to ask questions. All right, so are we all good with this approach?
yes.
Okay. So before getting into the insights, I had this slide up, and I hope I can see the video and other things on my screen. I hope you're able just to see the slide with internal versus external branding. Is that what you see now?
Yep.
Yep, that's all we see.
Okay, good. So I wanted to just go through a quick exercise with the group, just do some crowdsourcing on what you all think are the benefits of personal branding. And I look at it from two angles, internal and external. So internal, branding inside of your companies and what benefits it has internally for you and your career, and then external. So I'll pause there and see if I can get throw out a few benefits from this group. Let's start with internal. Anything come to mind?
Are you talking internal branding in terms of like how we should be branding ourselves internally, or just
Yes,
like just
exactly.
okay?
Yes, that's exact. In not internal inside your bodies, but more so inside of your company, so that you can advance.
Yep.
Takes
So
take, no, I was gonna say takes initiative. I know is one of the like things that you want to definitely have, and obviously it helps from the just advancement of work perspective.
So initiative, is that what I heard?
Correct.
Okay. Any others?
Networking.
Networking, that's a good one. Any others?
hardworking.
Okay. So, and again, just not necessarily giving examples of personal branding, but it's more about, if you brand yourself internally, what can come with that?
People are talking
Oh,
positively about you.
You faded out just a little bit. Can you repeat that again?
Can you guys hear me?
I can now.
yep.
Okay. I was saying that it's nice to walk into a room where your personal brand or your reputation positively precedes you. And so when you introduce yourself to someone, they're like either, oh, I know who you are, or I've heard great things about you. So that plays into that internal branding when you don't have to explain to people every time who you are.
That's a very good point. And I'll end there and just kind of give a few examples that I came up with. But before that, let's talk about some external branding. Give me some examples. And here I'm talking about when you think about your LinkedIn presence or how you're presenting yourself to the external world and representation of your corporation. What do you think are the benefits of doing that?
Uh, you don't need to find jobs; jobs find you.
A very good one. Any others?
Yeah, I'm about to say that's what I got.
Okay, that I think that's the primary reason. So I'll just go ahead and advance along and show a couple of things as I went through this exercise. Establishing credibility in your role. It's important to be recognized as a person that's doing great work and know your field and know what you're working on, and become that go-to person on various topics. You set yourself as well as others up for opportunities. So you having a good brand and you being around others with great brands sets the entire group up for future opportunities, career advancement, and also expansion of your influence. So uh, in a corporation, I would imagine a priority is simply to get things done. And more often than not, it requires a team to get things done. And you have to get your job done through the work of others. So as you continue to grow your brand and people trust and respect you, you can expand your influence. For external branding, similar on the credibility side, your digital footprint and followership can increase if you have a desire to become a key influencer. Networking was pointed out as well, and that's a benefit for both, and job opportunities that was said from the group. So thank you for indulging me in that exercise. Now, moving on, before getting into the tools, I wanted to share a little bit about my background. I was born and raised in Jacksonville, Florida. I come from what most would call a very humble beginning, product of a low-income household, single parent. Neither my mother or my father, who didn't live in the home, neither one of them had a college degree. However, they've always expressed, the values of education, faith, keeping family first, experienced a number of challenges that I won't go into too much detail here, but I do keep it in my mind as a reminder that anything is possible when you have the right people supporting you, when you're self-motivated, and you have a willingness to learn and have the drive to achieve and accomplish more than what you have before. And I've always been interested in technology, been curious about how things work in general, and that curiosity led to my interest in science. And I remember vividly, a cousin of mine had a chemistry set one that we at the time could buy off the shelf from a normal general purpose store. And one day we were in the living room mixing some random components in a test tube, and we heated it up on a Bunsen burner. You would never be able to get anything like that today. Uh, However, it was an explosion that happened. Fortunately, no one was hurt, but that minor explosion is what sparked my interest in STEM. And I'm sure you all have stories that you can tell that leads to why you're interested in your various fields. In high school, I excelled at the sport of wrestling, and I won a state championship in my weight class my senior year. And I always knew I wasn't really focused on getting into college, but unfortunately, I had an uncle who mentored me up to college, as he had did with his own sons. And I remember him showing up one day asking me to fill out applications from universities that were interested in recruiting me for wrestling. But without even visiting the school, I accepted an offer from Minnesota Morris, which is about 2.5 hours west from the Twin Cities. I left Florida with a backpack, a footlocker, and started my life as a young adult. And years later, becoming the first in my immediate family to not only obtain a college degree, but also a PhD, which most think is a very great accomplishment coming from the humble beginning. So that was my journey. And since then, I've picked up a number of degrees. I have a bachelor's in chemistry, a PhD in organic chemistry, an MBA, as you heard in my bio. And that's more recent, actually, 2019, from the University of Minnesota in the Twin Cities. And that's my story. So I've told you, what has led to come to who I am today, and not only talked about the good, but also the struggles. And this is one key from my perspective to your own personal branding, being able to tell your story. And I start out here with a list of other tools that can be used as you think about your career and think about how to brand yourself. Resume, we're all familiar with a resume. I won't say much about the resume in this talk, but just know, keep it simple, keep it easy to read, have some type of differentiating design if possible, where it doesn't look like everyone else's resume, and make sure it stands out, but not too much overkill on the design. You want to showcase your skills that's relevant to the job. And you want to give, even the resume itself, give some indication of your brand and who you are personally. And what you're seeing here is my 15-year professional career on one page. So it's also a benefit. It shows that you can simplify your messages, you can report what's measurable items, and that's important as you expand and become more of a leader in your careers. Okay. So moving on to the leadership one pager. In the workplace, you'll have several opportunities to tell your story, as I did. And one key point is when you take on a new role where you're given a platform to introduce yourself to your group, to your team, whoever you might be leading. And one tool I've learned to use, and I learned this in my MBA course, was this leadership one pager. I wish I had it earlier, but here is mine. And it starts with highlighting the education. Imagine yourself entering a new team. Most people don't know who you are, and you have the opportunity to tell them one fell swoop, who you are and what value you're going to bring to the organization. So just to elaborate a little bit more, after my PhD, I started at 3M as a product developer in our corporate research laboratory, supporting our biotechnology research organization. About 2 years into that, I moved on to a division, which is called 3M Unitech. And there we worked on adhesives and equipment that is used in orthodontics. So when you go to the dental office and if you ever had braces, we make the brackets, we make the wiring, we make the adhesives that's used to stick the braces onto the teeth, and they have to have certain properties to work in your mouth. And so I supported that division. And then about 4 years into 3M, I left the company. And the reason I left, you heard that I'm married, a wife and 3 kids, but my wife at the time was also finishing her PhD in chemistry. And the 3M wasn't hiring around that time. We were going through a restructuring and it wasn't a good time to hire. However, there's a company in New York that I'm showing up top called Corning Inc. that provided an opportunity for her. And she mentioned that, by the way, I'm engaged, and they created an opportunity for me. And I had to make a tough decision to leave 3M. It was a good experience at Corning. Company was great, had a number of leadership opportunities, started in the laboratory, began management, mostly technical project management, and then was responsible for leading a research group at Corning that supported a number of different areas within the company. That's when sort of the leadership, at least corporate leadership, took off for me. About 5 years in, I left Corning. The reason we left was my wife was having her second child and she wanted to take a couple years off. And that was a good pivot point for us to move somewhere else. And it's not that Corning was a bad company. It was, for us, it was a small town and we just needed more in terms of things to do as a young growing family. And so I came back to 3M as a new product developer, and it quickly turned into new product commercialization, where we take ideas and move them to products that we could eventually sell. And in that role, had the opportunity to interface with a number of different functions. So as a technical employee, I led a technical program, but I had to lead a cross-functional team where I'm speaking with sales about the opportunity, sales and marketing. I'm talking with the manufacturing facility about how can we make this product. I'm speaking with legal about can we operate from an intellectual property perspective, interfacing with the laboratory, all the functions that are involved in moving the product forward. I was able to interface with them, and that got me excited about more of the business side of things as opposed to just being locked into the laboratory. And I made a decision and started talking with my management about, I'm interested in business. What will it take to get to a business role? And a couple things that I heard continuously was you might consider getting an MBA because you will be competing with a number of people that have MBAs in a business role, at least in 3M. And a good pivot is doing a Lean Six Sigma role. And in 3M, Lean Six Sigma is a developmental opportunity where you learn about process improvement and a number of different things, cross-functional leadership and influencing people without direct report. So it's considered a 2-year assignment. And when you come out, you're allowed the opportunity to pivot to a new role. So when I came out of my Lean Six Sigma role, I came into the role that I am currently in now, which is a business development manager, which has changed to a marketing role where I'm responsible in our advanced materials division for products that are sold into the electric vehicle space. So many of you have seen Teslas and battery electric vehicles on the road. We have products that go into that space, and I support products that go into the next wave, which are fuel cell electric vehicles. All right, so again, telling my background and my story through the one pager, a few other components of this is the leadership foundation and your operating principles and what people can expect from you. And these are a few other things I've captured on this slide. Won't go through all of them in detail, but just wanted to give you a sense of the types of things you can pull together when you are considering taking on a new role and wanting to introduce yourself to a team. And just to touch on one or two items, as you talk about operating principles, one thing that I've taken on if you put your time into it, you can learn things in terms of value. Integrity and transparency is very important. If I say I'm going to do something, if I'm going to deliver on something, I keep that. And one even personal story that has helped and I have the acronym there is the National Kidney Foundation story. I was a kidney donor, and At the time I had promised a friend of mine, it was maybe 2 years before I actually had did the donation. Uh, he came to our group and said, "Hey, I'm in need of a kidney." And at that time I said, if I'm a match, I will give you my kidney. He was asking the entire group to get tested to see if there was even an opportunity for it to happen. And then 2 years later, I got a phone call from the hospital that was administering the operation, and he was completely unaware of the person who I gave my kidney to. But they asked, "Hey, we haven't told him yet, but you are a match. Do you still want to move forward with this?" And I said, "Absolutely." And so again, speaking to the integrity and keeping your word and your promise, and that's more of a personal story that has not only helped me professionally, but also on this slide to see if there's any questions thus far or any examples of what others have used to do these types of introductions.
So for me, this is Tamar. So for me, I'm kind of lean on my coaching experience. So I was a youth coach for football and wrestling
Okay.
uh for the past couple of years. So, and as well as just like heavily involved in volunteer work with our PCI sect of Nesby. I'm also a robotics coach too. So
Okay.
yeah, do a lot of youth mentor development work.
Very good. That is something you want to lean on, and it says a lot more about the person you are. It's not only the hard skills that you bring to the table, but the development of the soft skills, which I found have really uh, stood out when you're competing with others for the similar roles. Any other comments? All right, I'll move along to the next slide. So here is sort of a career map and gap analysis slide, and I think Ray can appreciate this statement. Um, if you well, the 12 P's, and I'll just kind of dull it down to if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. And so what this is showing is a plan that when I was looking to transition into new roles and having a sense of where I wanted to be longer term, placing where I wanted to be, mapping out the various steps that were required for me to get to where I wanted to be. And this makes a very good conversation document when you're talking with your mentors, when you're talking with champions, when you're talking with your manager and other leaders, uh, and because they are the ones that are behind the room, not behind the room, but behind closed doors, having those human resource and succession planning discussions that will help get you to the next role. So as you are able to communicate clearly what it is that you want to do and articulate it to those who can help you, and this supports your brand, this supports your development, it supports your career. And finding a mentor, also 1 to 2 or 1 to 4 levels up, is also very helpful. And you'll find more often than not that people are willing to share whatever they have learned over the course of the years with you, how they got where they are. So don't be shy about asking for help when developing your longer term plan. And as a supplement to this document, I also like to include, and I would typically send this in advance of a meeting with a senior leader, is a strengths and analysis where I talk about where my current strengths lie, the far left, based on roles that I've had. And it's not necessarily the role, but the skills that have been developed. And then on the right-hand side, I have those future roles that you saw on the previous slide. And then in the middle are the gaps or areas for development that uh, I feel that I should improve. And I talk about this with my management to make sure, do they see the same things, or I may even tweak it if they think I'm stronger in one area and I might be selling myself short or being too ambitious in the skills. So, and what you can do is piece together what those next roles will provide, and the arrows are a little bit off here, but I hope you get the idea. If you go into one role, then you should be working on closing a gap that you have in terms of skills and ambitions. So
May I ask a
let's
question?
see. Anything? Yes, you may.
So you mentioned how you kind of, I was going to ask this and then you mentioned it, but you have a few people that you kind of bounce ideas off of on terms of like what your skills are, where you can improve. How did you come to kind of create that council of individuals, or who did you look to in creating that council of individuals to say like, hey, these are where I see strengths in you or where I see some improvement areas? If you could speak to that a little bit.
Yeah, certainly. And most of them for me have been internal to 3M. Uh, a starting point for me would be my manager, and it takes a lot of trust in your management in order to be able to have that dialogue. But that is certainly a starting point because they're the ones, the primary person that is going to help you tee up your next promotion or opportunity. In addition, through networking, through just being out and about, through some of the volunteer activities that are not related to your job. At one point, I was the chair of the 3M African American Network, and I did not start as the chair. I started as the committee chair for Black History Month, and that turned in, and I did well at that, so it turned into other opportunities. And when you're involved with the ERNs and other volunteer organizations, often they have executive sponsors that are associated with those groups and champions for the work that you're trying to do. And those executive sponsors also have friends and other colleagues that they bring along to the functions and the events. And so through the volunteer work and other non-work related activities, I've been able to found sort of a council or board of directors, however you want to refer to it, of people that I can go to when I have challenges or even things I need to talk about and key decisions that I need to make related to my career and development. So those are a few things that I've leveraged.
Got it. That makes sense. Thank you.
Okay. And one other point on this slide is you all are in corporate and our organizations are getting rid of the performance rating systems. But you may have seen, at your annual review, you have some criteria, whether it's leadership behaviors or attributes that you're measured against, and you're scored on a scale from 1 to 5 or 1 to 3. And so it's important that in these types of documents that you highlight the strengths that you have. I think when, in my case, and there's something that I screwed up on my personal brand. Collaboration and teamwork is, apologize for the misspelling, is a big piece for me. Playing to win, developing others and self are the areas that I found as strengths in my development. And as I have these conversations, I bring these up and try to close the gaps with the next opportunity. Any other dialogue that we want to have on this?
I have a question, Brother Shannon. So in terms of the future skills and experiences and the future roles, right? So you do your own internal thinking and internal reflection to go about, identifying those development opportunities, right? So how do you go about doing that? Do you identify the roles first and then go about identifying the experiences, or do you identify the experiences and skills you want to have and then you kind of align that with a future role?
Yeah, that's a great question. And so my short answer is, when you're having these discussions, never make it about a promotion. Make it about developing yourself and getting a new experience that you can leverage your prior experiences with more responsibility. So as mentioned in the beginning, the future roles is, once you understand where you want to be, and then if you understand some things about your organization and the various roles you will need to get to that certain level, and you can even click through your internal directory and see who your boss's manager is, who your manager's manager is, and so on and so forth, up to the CEO. You can get a sense of those future roles you might need depending on that final stage that you want to be at. And so I would first outline the roles and then talk to people about what skill sets that they will gain by being in those roles, and that will help you identify the future things that you will require in order to be successful in the future role.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Moving along. I'm going to talk about the 90-day plan. I would imagine you all have heard of this. When taking on a new role, I've learned to do very quickly to understand what the priorities are for the organization that I'm a part of and prioritize around what I was hired to do. So I'm showing here a template that I've used, and what I try to do is populate this within the first 2 to 3 weeks after talking with a number of key people in the organization. And you can ask your manager, who are those people you should be speaking with? And then I try to pull together, based on what I've heard, what I feel are the priorities, the key success measures, who are other people I need to align my plan with within the first 30 days. And once that's established, it's up to you to remain laser focused on delivering these objectives. So in addition, you want to make sure your manager is in agreement with what you think the priorities are. You have ways to measure your success, and I have a few examples. In my case, sales is a very important number. We are investing in capacity to make more of our product. So it's important that I help drive the growth, which include securing internal investments to build the capacity. And there's a customer metric, sure we're delivering the product in a decent amount of time, or an acceptable amount of time for a customer. So those are some of the metrics I've highlighted here. And on the right-hand side, you see some of the key people and functions that through discussion, that I need to form a very good alliance with and team up with in order to make my business successful. And just a little bit more detail before we discuss that, I also kind of dig and outline what needs to happen within the first 30 days, what needs to happen within the next month, and then 3 months out, what needs to happen. And at a very high level, the first 30 days is about making connections and figuring out what it is you need to do to be successful. In the second month, it's around the analysis piece, understanding a little bit more about your business and what the key metrics are, expanding upon what you've already developed for your priorities, but more importantly, how can you use what you have and your team to drive and create impact? And then finally, it's about execution in the last 90 days. How do you start doing things where it shows that you're actually making a difference for the organization? And I've given a few examples here. And this could be easily used as a template. It's pretty generic, and I think it could apply to a number of positions. Any comments or questions on this, the 30, 60, 90-day plan?
Please tell me you're gonna let us get these slides after the meeting.
Absolutely.
That's good, my brother. That's good.
Any other questions? Okay, I don't know how I'm doing on time. I did want to also share a reference. It's helped me very early in my career to understand how the corporate game is played. I don't know if anyone has heard of this book. I always like to recommend this to anyone I'm mentoring, along with a couple of other books, but I just wanted to highlight this one for this meeting because it speaks more about the personal brand side of things, and it breaks down what's most important, when it ties very well to your brand. So if you look at the graph on the left-hand side, is any of this surprising to you? We're talking about the contribution of performance, the contribution of image, and the contribution of you being exposed to your ability to get promoted within an organization.
I'm surprised the performance is such a small percentage compared to the other ones. Like you would think if you're perform like I would have thought like performers would be a lot bigger.
Yeah. Well,
Isn't everybody ultimately expected to perform? So for perform, I would imagine performance becomes less of a variable because everybody's expected to perform.
that is
I
the
don't
answer.
know. I don't know if it's really me though, but it's like I always consider, performance from, African Americans is always has to be above and beyond, the competition. So this is an eye opener for me right here.
Yes, and I agree with that statement. We have to work twice as hard to get half as much. I mean, I think we're all familiar with that statement. And really, it's not about the hard work. So that comes into play. It's that we often don't have the same level of exposure, the access to the same network that our counterparts have that aren't African American. And so what this is saying, yes, it's expected when they're not paying you 40, 50, 60, $100,000 to not perform, whatever your role is. You're expected to perform at least at a level of 3, and depending on your role, a 4 or 5. Now, the next piece is about image. Yeah, and this speaks to how you present yourself, how you're groomed. And there's a phrase, dress for the job that you want, not the job that you have. If you're When I worked in the laboratory, I would see, and this speaks goes back to working twice as hard. I would have some of my colleagues dressed in jeans and t-shirts, and they're just working in a laboratory, whereas I show up with a collared shirt, some khakis. It wasn't a job that required a blazer or anything like that, but I was and presenting myself in a professional manner, uh, regardless of the role. And so that speaks to the image that you have. Image is also around how your people perceive you. Are you trustworthy? Are you a hard worker? Some of those things we talked about on the first slide. Are you known to get jobs done? Do you work well with people? Uh, those things are all important as a part of your personal brand. And then the exposure is more about the net. Who knows? You've heard the phrase, it's not who you know, it's not what you know, it's who you know. I would take it a little bit further and say, it's not what you know, it's not who you know, it's who knows what you're capable of doing. And so if and they know you to not do well in a certain function, a person that's in the next level up likely won't recommend you to that next role. If they know you're going to come done, and in the same time you'll make them look good, they're going to make the recommendation for you. So getting exposed, and that question that came up earlier, how do you find out about those next roles? And exposure for me came with doing things outside of my day job. African American Network volunteering. Now started a chapter at the University of Minnesota, but now I'm serving as the board chair of the national organization. And all of that provides exposure on so many levels. As you volunteer and raise your hand for different opportunities, it exposes you so that you can set yourself up for others. And in addition, once you get that champion or that mentor or sponsor who has those same actions and they trust you, they can also expose you to their network. And I do the same to people that I know and meet all the time. Very unselfish about helping someone make a connection that might advance their career. Given that I understand that you're motivated, that you have the drive, that you're serious about doing what you say you're trying to do. So a couple of other points here is the book speaks about learning the language of your next level. So if you are um, want to be a manager, start speaking like a manager. Talk to other managers and understand the things that managers do, understand the executives do, because you're going to need to blend in while being authentic. You know, you want to still keep your who you are as a person, but you need to understand the culture. It's almost like getting into a fraternity or a sorority or any other organization. You know, you're able to get in because the organization feels like you would make a great fit for that organization or that next role. Uh, Being flexible is important, and being prepared is also important. I like to say, if you stay ready, you'll never have to get ready. Okay, any other comments or questions on this last slide? Okay, I wanted to conclude with an exercise. And how much time do we have? I just wanted to do a quick time check.
It's 7:57, so like a little bit over, but we're okay.
Okay, I'll just go ahead and bring it home. I'll leave this as an exercise that you can work on your own. But I found this while I was in my graduate program. It's called the elevator speech, and it was in a Forbes article that I saw some time ago. And what this does is allow you to communicate, articulate who you are and your value within about 20 to 30 seconds. When you're speaking with management, when you're speaking with leadership, customers, clients, and etc. And so what this helps you answer is, what problem are you trying to solve with your customer, who you are and what value you bring and what you're good at. And so and what this is showing, I work with and support clients who do X for their customer. So what problem is your customer or your client, your manager, whoever it is you support and work for, the team that you're on, what are they trying to solve? And then the next stage is, here's who I am. This is my function. And here's what I deliver. 95% of the time, you will see an improved this within a certain period of time. So you want to show that you can not only do the job, but you can do it productive and pretty swiftly. And then this final statement is, more often than not, it's a certain thing that's failing in a business, and you're the person to help come fix that. So as an example, here's I just did this today. I had it for a previous role, but I thought I'd just do it for my current role. Is I work with clients and they want to grow their business and they want to better serve their customers. I am a marketer and a business manager. 95% of my clients will see an improved sales, customer engagement within 2 to 3 months. And more often than not, it is the process understanding and the leadership that's failing in your business or your project. I can help fix that. And so this brings together a lot of the skills and things that you've developed over time and helps you articulate what you can deliver in your role. So just to summarize, tell your story, know what your operating principles are. You want to make sure you have a good plan and you share it with those that can help you. You'll find people will be very happy to share information to help you get to your next level. And have the elevator speech and continue to do what you can to get as much of exposure while presenting good work in your role and your function. And I think that'll be important for setting you up for your next success. So I'll stop there. And I really thank you for your time and attention and the opportunity to present.
Hey, thank you,
Thank
Dr.
you. Thank you.
Shannon, for all that wonderful information. Definitely gonna take some of that knowledge back. uh, See if I can take back the host.
Okay.
Dr. Shannon, could you make me the host? There should be like a participants tab, and if there's a be a more option, and you can.
I hit stop there. Does that do anything? Participants.
And if you click on my name,
Got
it
it.
should be able. Oh, okay. Now my mic took over the host.
Got it. Perfect.
Cool. Alrighty. Whoops. Let's go Go back here, share screen. Alrighty, can everybody see the screen, my screen now?
Yep, we can see it.
Okay, thanks. Again, thank you, Dr. Shannon, for giving that lovely presentation. We're gonna go ahead and go through some chapter announcements. So Nesby TCPC has now a podcast. We've aired our first episode, I believe, late December. So go check that video out. It was with our current chapter president, Raymond Smith Bird, and talking about his experience with Nesby and how Nesby impacted his life is and mine as well. We're hopefully gonna have our chapter sponsor, Alex Merritt, on for our next episode to talk about relationships, which that should be pretty interesting. Uh, we also have Nesby Junior. Oh, Nesby Junior partnership with Minnesota STEM Partnership for the robotics program. Myself and Ray are coaches currently, but we can always use more help. The more coaches, the better. Two of their robotics teams will be competing at the national conference in April virtually. So go ahead and support them. And if you, like I said, if you want to sign up to be a coach, there's a link at the bottom, and we can send that out later, which we will send out later. Also, for our there's a project management training that are we get discounted as NSU members if you want to do it online. The prices are there. Physical classroom is more expensive. Uh, but here are the upcoming training dates. Given that January 20th, 6th is this, well, yeah, I believe it's next week. Probably if you're going to plan on doing this, I would suggest signing up for the February or later ones. And the time is from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Um, the link is also below, and if you want that link, just reach out to us and we can send that to you. And elections are coming up. So in April, we're having kind of having our elections coming in where people will hopefully take on the mantle and join the chapter e-board and help put on great programs and GBMs like this and continue our strong leadership. Also, uh, Engineers Week is going to be the last week in February, I believe, starting the let's see what the start date of that is. The 22nd, February 22nd through the 26th, well, 27th. So be on the lookout for the events coming up in February. And also stay connected through our social media platforms and also our website. We got to update this, put our YouTube channel on there. But if you want to check out some of the videos that we had, as well as some of the previous GBMs, just search Nesby TCPC on YouTube, and we should have some of our videos up there. Any other last minute announcements? If not,
Want to come? This is Ray,
yep.
Chapter President. Just want to thank everybody for coming out. Thank you, Dr. Simon Shannon, for presenting today. Thank you to our special guests. We got our professionals off for a chair, Shari Briggs, on the call. Thanks for showing up. Thank you to all the membership. Again, tune in for Engineering Week. We will be defending our title this year as R4 Engineering Week of the Year. So make sure you tune in. We're also announcing some more of our scholarships for high school graduating seniors that are interested in STEM, as well as our Nesby Collegiate students. So stay tuned for more details coming soon. Chicago cannot have our title.
That's right. That's
They
right.
cannot have it. They cannot have it.
Yeah. Hey, thanks for that, Ray.
Just wanted to let y'all know that y'all are not uncontested. They are coming for y'all head. Like I was on that meeting last week and I was like, oh, okay. They're coming. Just wanted y'all to know that.
Undisputed over here. Undisputed.
It's personal.
But yeah, thanks everyone for joining in, and be on the look. If for all those that have missed this or wasn't able to attend, should be able to catch this recording on our YouTube channel. So again, thank you everybody. Have a great and safe uh, rest of the week and be blessed.
Thanks. Take care, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.